Time travel's a very odd thing. I feel as if I've been here before, but yeah. Anyway, one for each bit. Full stereophonic microphones here.
Oh wow. Okay, I wanted to ask you a few things about your other work other than Doctor Who to start with. One thing that really struck me, and I remember you doing, was you did Vision On. Which...
You remember that? You must have been a baby at the time.
No.
Alright, you just look younger than you are.
One of the things that really struck me about Vision On was the fact that it was actually just for people that were deaf as well as people who could hear. They had the sign language. Can you actually do any of it?
How about, yeah. Now here's the gallery. No, I used to try and do it. I mean, I don't know if you remember, but it had gone on for about 12 years, Vision On. I did the last 3 years of it. And by the time I joined it, it became not just a program for, you know, the hard of hearing, but just a visual program for everyone, but also including anyone who couldn't hear. So, you know, they opened it up by the sign language and they closed it by the sign language. And Pat Kiesel used to say, and now here's the gallery, which those of you who might have seen Tony Hart later on, he had the gallery as well. That came from Vision On, and she'd say, now here's the gallery. Now and again they let me do it, and I would just get all tied up. And now I could never get that open. But I did learn sign language at school in order to cheat. Because it was very good for doing exams, because we all learned it, so you could just, it's very difficult with this, but you could, you know, go, you know, I knew the A, B, C, you know, we used to send messages to each other. What's the answer to this one? I don't know. Well, he might know over there, ask him, and all that would go on. So I thought that that was why I learned it, for cheating. I can do it a little bit, I mean, I can do the alphabet, but I wouldn't be able to have a long conversation.
So, the Ken Campbell Roadshow, what was your part? Because you were involved in that for some time.
Well, yes, I mean, originally that was the very first acting job I ever got, and I joined it, we were doing sketches. It was very revolutionary in those days. This kind of theatre didn't exist, and we were taking theatre into pubs and working men's clubs and doing it there. And we did it in sketch forms, mainly about modern myths, you know, the kind of modern urban myths. We'd dramatise them, you know, like vanishing grandmothers, various other things. The Bells, Esmeralda, and now Hunchback of Notre Dame, we did that once. No, but anyway, we did then eventually we ended up doing a show called An Evening with Sylvester McCoy, the Human Bomb. I was the character. That wasn't my real name, Sylvester McCoy, but I played that character. And it was like the Marx Brothers doing stunts, so I learned a whole series of stunts in order to, you know, to play the role. And we liked the name Sylvester McCoy, and decided I'd take it as an acting name and put it in the programme, and invented in the programme a whole lifestyle for this actor, Sylvester McCoy, who had supposedly at 15 left Dunoon and gone to India to study with gurus, and, you know, ended up, it was all lies, but people believed it, and I just thought it was a nice name, so I kept the name, really.
Is it exciting working in front of a live audience, or scary at times?
Both, really. I enjoy live theatre much more than television. Although I do enjoy film, but that's different because you're working with one camera. Television, you're sometimes working multi-cameras and it's a bit different. And you're just part of a jigsaw. You have no real... Same in film, but film is very, very different because it's theatre's like painting with a broad brush, you know, which is great. And film is painting with a very fine brush, and television's in between. But it can be scary, but also great fun. And I like theatre because you get the immediate response to what you've done. Because sometimes you might do something and weeks, months, years later, someone might come up to you in the street and say, oh, I saw you in that, I thought you were rubbish. You know, you know, this might be the first response you've got to what you did. So theatre's good because you get immediately feedback. And you can play with an audience too, or you can maybe feel this is not going as well as I want it. I'll do, you know, so it's like there's a relationship with you and the audience, and you can change it, and they can change what you're doing as well with their mood and their, do you know what I mean? Everything from drama, comedy, you know, musical stuff. So that's great fun, that relationship.
So you say in many cases the audience actually makes the play or makes the...
Well, they can alter the evening, I mean, not dramatically, unless they are specifically involved. Like, as in pantomime, people in pantomime, the audience are more involved, and, you know, the more responsive and rowdy they are, more, maybe perhaps that lifts the night, but not necessarily. It's just a different night. But even in a play where the fourth wall is supposed to be there, they still can change the atmosphere subtly. And I mean, I remember when we were doing a musical, The Pirates of Penzance, and there was an invasion invaded the Falklands, and we were during that time. And the week all that happened, the atmosphere in the audience changed quite dramatically. But they wouldn't know that they were different. We knew because we'd been playing a lot with different, and this was a really up show, but you could feel, and like tonight, I mean, if there was theatre on tonight, acting in front of an audience would be really strange because of the general feeling of sadness that's pervading the whole country. So, you know, it does make a subtle difference.
You've done a lot of serious theatre as well, which is obviously not notes. Take Me This Through, Antony and Cleopatra. But what I really wanted to ask you about on this sort of thing was the fact that I read you actually were in a play naked.
Yes.
Was that scary? Because I stood...
Frightened the shit out of the audience. Oh, excuse me. No. It doesn't swear. It means something totally different in Gallifrey. I think. Translation. Oh, sorry. Yes, no, yes, well, there you go. What more can I say? But it wasn't scary, really. It's odd. It's like once you get on the stage, you do put on the costume of another character. There's a very strange feeling. What's one of the nice things of acting is you do actually leave your own body in a way. In a sense, you do sometimes become someone else, you know, and that's the kick, that's the drug sometimes. That plus the smell of the grease paint and the roar of the crowd and all that. There's that other area where you can go out yourself. And sometimes you work with actors who are incredibly shy. You know, they're really shy, but once they get onto that stage, something magical happens to them, and they live. I mean, they're the ones. Sadly, they sometimes don't live off the stage, but they find a life on the stage. So it's very odd. So in areas where nudity is involved, it's not a great problem necessarily.
You were saying about taking on the character, you were talking earlier about the Michael Sands and how much that was a struggle. Because I actually saw that and it looked such a strong drama for the first night. Possibly the only good thing Channel 5 had, possibly.
Not possibly, definitely.
But did you actually, I mean, I'm thinking actually of research and doing something like that. Did you go just straight into it? Or how would you set your mind into being such an awful character?
Yeah, well, a lot of people ask me, you know, if I did do a lot of research on it, because there was lots of written about him in the newspapers, and we had some video of him, but very little, tiny little, not enough. The police had much more, but they wouldn't release it, so we could look at it. And the actress who played Stephanie Slater, she went into a lot of research, because she actually met Stephanie Slater herself and chatted to her, but because of the nature of the way the piece had been written, it was Stephanie Slater's story, and therefore her slant on the character. It wasn't really like an independent person's view of what had actually happened. So I thought the best thing to do is no way I can research this character except within the script. Take from the script and what it says to me, what tells me to do with the character. And that's what I did. And I put aside all the research that they gave me, because I thought this might complicate it much more, because what the researchers say is not what's in the script. It's not how, the view of him was. So I just did it.
When you actually finished doing something like that, because obviously it was a very strong drama, can you actually feel proud about something like that? Because it's obviously the difficulty with the kind of character you're playing. Would you put that as one of the major highlights in your career? Or?
I generally enjoy the career. The whole career has been a high as far as I'm concerned. Since I started acting when I was 27 until now, 3 years later. Why are you laughing? I've enjoyed it all. I did enjoy playing Sam's, although I was really proud of having been given the chance to play that type of part and hopefully pull it off. So that was the enjoyment from it. I mean, I try to remember. Some people say, "What is your favourite role?" I can't remember. Last night, or the night before, I was in Nottingham, and I did quite a lot of plays in the early '70s in Nottingham, and someone ran up to me and asked me for my autograph, and they said, "I saw you play Servant of Two Masters," which I totally forgot about in Nottingham. Now that was a part I really loved playing, but loads of them I like playing. What I like is just the whole variety. I've been incredibly lucky as an actor to have done so much variety of acting. I've never been bored by it, and I think that's a blessing for me. And it's partly luck and partly choice that I've popped up doing totally different things all over the place. You know, when I got Doctor Who, people would say, "What? Him playing Doctor Who?" But, you know, and then I did it, and then afterwards, then I get something else, and they, "What? Doctor Who playing that kind of part?" You know, that's other people's perceptions, but I mean, I've had a great kind of variety.
So I don't think you have really strong typecasting. Because one of the things about the Curse of Fenric story that obviously this event's about was that, I don't know how many of the audience felt this, but when they actually named the cast beforehand, I heard Nicholas Parsons was in it. I thought, oh no, great, you know, and Nicholas Parsons was amazing. And sometimes you do put people into these, he's a game show host, or he's this and that, the other, and people have got such wide ranges.
Yes, no, they have. I mean, Nicholas Parsons, you know, had been a straight man for, you know, comics for a long time before he became a game show host and all that. But before that, he'd been an actor as well. And as you say, you can. I find it much more fun to watch something with someone unusual playing, or who you consider to be unusual playing a part, and then pulling it off. I think that's great. You know, to see that go on. A comic actor playing a straight part and making it work. In America it's much easier, they tend to let you do that much more, but over here we are much more compartmentalised, and I've tried to battle that all the time and just gone for jobs that have interested me, no matter where they are. You know, someone will say, "Will you go on a tour with an Iranian group around Britain?" Yeah, that sounds fun. I mean, I did that once, and it was immensely interesting because I was working with people from outside the European acting tradition. And so that was, you know, really interesting to try and work with them in that and find out how they worked. And all sorts of things. You know, variety is definitely the spice of life. And the Spice Girls, yeah, let's talk about them now.
Who's your favourite Spice Girl?
Which one is it? The darker one, wasn't it?
Yeah. The one who does this.
Did she do what? I don't know.
Photographs.
All right. I'm never looking at her face. I must look. Yes.
Obviously, this is a Doctor Who convention, and we've got to move on to Doctor Who at some point. When you actually took on the role, obviously the thing was quite built up at that point, and Doctor Who had a sizable audience. Did you actually worry about going into the role, and did you actually take any advice from anyone else? I know Peter Davison spoke to Tom Baker, Patrick Troughton. Did you actually speak to any of the other doctors, or know what you were walking into?
No, I didn't really know what I was walking into, nor did I speak to the other doctors because I didn't have a chance to meet them. Although later on I did meet Peter Davison, and he said that Patrick Troughton said only do 3 years. That was Patrick Troughton's advice to Peter Davison, and he kept to it. But that was all really. I didn't know what I was walking into. I hadn't really watched Doctor Who for years. I had watched it when it first came out, but then when I became an actor, I stopped watching it because there were no VCRs, and you were always working on the evenings or Saturdays. So I lost, kind of touch with it, and I had a distant memory of it, and I just thought I had no idea what I was letting myself in for, not at all really.
When you actually get a script sent to you, say we're in the middle of a season of Doctor Who that's just about being put together, can you actually tell when you first get the script this is going to be a special one? Like if you got sent The Curse of Fenric, would you be able to tell, or is it as you're working through you think this is going to be good, or is it the finished product?
Well, sometimes you sometimes get it. I remember doing a film once called Dracula, and the script was brilliant. But then when you went and saw the end result, it didn't work as well as the script. And vice versa, I've done things that I thought, oh dear, this is a bit hairy, but I need the money. And then suddenly, it comes out and it's good. So it's very difficult to actually, that's one of, if people actually knew how to get a good script onto the screen, it would be, that doesn't necessarily happen. And it's not all to do with direction. It's to do with the whole. It's a mix. It's the mixing of chemicals, from actors to designers to music to the cutting, the lighting. It's a whole chemical mix to make that thing work. And sometimes it does and doesn't. So you can't really tell. But when we were doing it, we were. You start off the first story of the season, you would have read it and knew what it was about, the beginning, middle and end, and made judgments. But halfway through the season, you had no idea what you were doing next, and you were just getting a script and you just undermarked your own bits and hardly knew what the rest of the story was about. There was no time. You didn't have the mental power as well to go. Because you've obviously perhaps seen that documentary on the Silver Nemesis where I was sitting on a table looking like a demented dwarf or, kind of leprechaun, and my hair's all curled up and saying, oh, I don't want any more money, I just want more time. I'm a Time Lord and they haven't given us enough time to make the thing. So that was the great enemy of Doctor Who, was time, bizarrely.
You say when you actually take on a character, but if you're actually watching the programme when it's actually being shown, does it feel like you?
Sometimes. I'm not very good at watching me now. I tend not to watch me at all much. Because I wonder who that old fella is on the screen. Because you see, I'm short-sighted. And I went short-sighted about 18 or 19. I've never seen myself properly since then. And I keep wondering why people come up and ask me to sign the photographs of this wrinkly old chap. I think, I don't know who this is, but whoever it is, I'll send it. Seems to make them happy, I may as well do it. I don't watch myself very often. Although there was a time earlier on, especially when I was doing Vision On and things like that, where I could be one step removed, because I was watching technically what the visual side was,
Yeah.
But when it got to the more dramatic side, when you become more of yourself in it, then you think, it's odd. It's very difficult to judge. The first time you watch it, all you're doing is watching yourself, no matter how you don't want to. You want to watch the whole story, so you can't really judge what the story's like. It's up to other people. You just hide behind the couch and say, was it any good? Can I come out now? They say, no, I'd better stay there for the rest of your life after that one.
No, I actually read that your children came to the filming of Curse of Fenric and ended up dressed as hemovores.
Yes, that's right. They came down. We were filming in a tunnel, disused railway tunnel, and they came down with another, and they were coming down to watch me film. John Nathan Turner, always one for saving a few bob on the. Suddenly thought, oh, there's two young people, small, they'd be good, little hemovores. Dead cheap anyway, let's have them for nothing. That to them was really nice to them, offered them a couple of lollipops and said, how would you like to dress up as a hemovore? And they said, oh yes, that'd be nice. So for the whole day, this wonderful summer sunny day, they were stuck in a dripping, cold, wet, muddy tunnel. And they never saw any of the filming. But they were really good, they were sweet, I was like sweet, they were really proud of them, because they did it, they didn't get bored, and I thought they might get really, because they were quite young at the time, but they took it very seriously and did it.
What did they think of Doctor Who?
Not a lot.
Not a lot?
No, they weren't fans of it. Sadly, they were at that age where, when it came, because it had gone away and for a while, and that magical slot where it used to be on, it was taken over by the A-Team on ITV, sadly, and they got into the A-Team, and so when Doctor Who came back, I know it was, they never kind of went back into it, and also they suffered a bit. They didn't suffer badly, but it affected their lives, my being Doctor Who. We could no longer go together, to the seaside or anywhere in Britain. We had to go abroad. I mean, they liked that bit. They liked the fact we had to go to America to, have a holiday or go to France or Holland or somewhere. And then, so for them it was an intrusion, so they never fell in love with it.
I tend to think that everybody somewhere deep down is a fan of something. I was wondering if they were fans of Doctor Who. Is there anything that really captures you that you actually think, I would go and...
Yes, this is a secret, you mustn't tell anyone else. I'm a secret fan of Prisoner of Cell Block H. And I am going to the doctor for it. It makes me laugh so much. I stay up late at night, close all the curtains, lock the doors, and I watch Prisoner of Cell Block H. And I fall about laughing.
Is that on Channel 5? Or?
It's on Channel 4. No, it's on Channel 3 and 5 now. Once when it first started, it was on Channel 3 for a while, And they had it on twice a week, then they took it off, and then they moved it to all sorts of midnight, beyond the midnight hour and all that. And then they took it off a lot of the times, and people complained. And now you can get it on the same night on ITV and on Channel 5. And Channel 5 is the very early one, ones that I'd never seen before. When in fact, I think it might be the opening one, because the sets don't shake so much. They spent some money on it, and then you can see what happened was it deteriorated, and you know, the set started to shake, and the actors as well.
Was it a stage show at some point?
Yes, there was. There was 2 stage shows. I didn't see the first one was a real serious attempt to do the drama on the stage, and sadly I didn't see that, because I'd have loved to have seen that. That'd have been great fun. But the second one was oh gosh, I'm so bad at names. That wonderful Liverpudlian drag artist.
Lily Savage.
Lily Savage, yeah, he's great. He did one, the musical, and I got I inveigled first night tickets to go to it. I went to the first night, and it was a hoot. It was so funny. I mean, I was weeping, but it was meant to be funny. And he was really good, because I thought his name was, you know, he was obviously the big star, and he thought he was going to take. But he didn't. He kind of measured himself through it in a very nice way. And the rest of the cast had great songs, and the freak came on. When she came on, the whole house went crazy. So that's my confession.
So you share, in some way, what we share with Doctor Who. You feel...
What, you lock the doors and watch it in the middle of the night, and you're going to the doctor for withdrawal symptoms from it?
in my time, I think, there you go. Talking about Doctor Who. Talking about Doctor Who, we were talking earlier about the darkness that came into your character. I was quite interested in the fact that you had quite a sizable input into that. That you said that was quite a lot of people thinking behind darkening the character and bringing more depth to it. That was the case.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's fine. No, that's true. I mean, as I said earlier, it was. I mean, basically, when I started it, I had no real idea. I mean, when you go along for a job as an actor, you want to, you know, think, I need to work, I want to go along. Doctor Who, I remember with great affection from a very long time ago, but it's blurred. And I went in and just kind of, you know, chatted away and enthused, and somehow managed to convince them that I'm the man to do it. And then I got the job and thought, what do I do with this job? Because when you get the script, it doesn't really tell you, just as the doctor says. Whereas the writers really enjoy writing for the other characters in Doctor Who, because they create them a lot of the times. It's their babies. They're babies they've created. Monster babies, or, you know, hero babies, or whatever kind of babies. Whereas this baby was created by someone else. So you have to bring a lot of yourself to it. So initially I just brought my own, you know, kind of comic bent, if I'm allowed to say that, to it. And then I started to realise what Doctor Who was, or how I perceived it. I thought, wait a minute, I've got to bring, there's something more to this than just a slightly comic clown character going through space. So that's why. But then to change it was very difficult, because it's like turning a great liner in the ocean. It takes a long time to make, you can't just go like that. And because already they'd written the scripts for the next series, you know, by the time we were starting to talk about making it more serious. So halfway through the second series, it starts to get a bit more serious. It starts to change its character. And then by the third series, it was really getting there.
Yeah.
And in the fourth series, it just wanted to really kind of, you know, nail it down, as it were. This is my Doctor, this is who he is.
Do you think you'd have done a fifth series, or was the fourth series up to...
Who knows, really? You never can tell. One time during the second series, third series, I thought I might just finish after the third series. But then they twisted my arm and said, well, they didn't twist my arm, they said, if you don't agree to do a fourth series, we won't do a third series. So I knew the magical number of 3, and I was thinking of Patrick Troughton's advice to Peter Davison, so I thought, well, I better do the third. And then when I decided I was going to do a fourth, I really looked forward to it and started to plan in my head. And then that disappeared. I was rather annoyed, really.
One of the things that came into the character, I felt quite a great deal, especially the new adventures that have been with since, was how manipulative the character of the Doctor was becoming. What springs to mind in Fenric, where he has to make Ace lose her faith in him, or else basically the thing can't be won. Were you happy about that side of the character, where he was becoming perhaps devious?
Well, Yeah, I don't know what, I've never read the book, so I don't know what happens to him in the books, but I kind of, the feeling was that as he was a time traveller, and in a sense he had such knowledge of what had happened before, the past, the future, he might even know specific things, as he did. So that in a way, in order, I mean, in order, I thought it was really good that in order to save the day, he had to convince Ace absolutely 100% that he was not as he seemed. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was the only way he could do it. And that's quite a good dilemma for himself and for Ace. And to take that gamble that in the end it would pay off and it won't destroy Ace or Ace's love and affection for the professor. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that was really good.
Well, I think
Did you?
Yeah, I did. I actually think, when I was actually watching it, I was thinking how much the Seventh Doctor really springs out in particular scenes. A lot of characters in shows like Doctor Who think of them as a character, but I don't know about people in this room, but I think of the Seventh Doctor as particular scenes. There was one in Ghostlight where you were talking about things that you hated most, or your character hated most, like unrequited love and bus stations full of lost souls or whatever. Do you actually look back and think particular parts of things you've done in Doctor Who that really make you think, wow, that is so well written, I'm quite proud of that.
Well, I must say that was one, Ghostlight was one of my favourite ones for a very selfish reason, because I thought a lot of it was very well written for the Doctor. You know, the Doctor got a lot of good things to say, and it was saying things that, you know, I was hoping that, you know, the Doctor would be like. And I know what you mean by certain scenes go, you know, you think, that's straight, that's strong, that's different, that's something. And I was hoping that in the fourth series, it would be more like that all the way through, do you know what I mean? More continuous. But we're still groping and trying to search, trying to bring out this new character, you know, or not new character, but this new layer of the onion, Dr. Onion.
I felt the Doctor seemed to change quite radically in the last scene of Dragonfire. I don't know if you were in the TARDIS with Bonnie Langford going.
Yes, that was the first chance I got of really having input, because they said, Bonnie's leaving, and in the script it said, oh, I'm going now, Doctor, oh, bye-bye, and then we carry on. I thought, oh, wait a minute, you can't do that, you can't. I mean, he's had this relationship with, you know, Mel as Doctor number 6 and as number 7. You know, he's had a relationship. It's been quirky but very affectionate and all. And you know, you can't just say goodbye. I had done as an audition, you know, film script as a screen test, a scene very much like saying goodbye to Mel, and it was very moving. So it was written by Andrew Cartmel, and I think it was, and I thought that was the scene we need here. So I argued for that, but because the writer wasn't around, or maybe he wasn't, they were a bit worried about sticking it in because it wasn't the writer of that story's scene. But we came to a compromise and only did a little bit of that scene. But that was the taste. That was the Doctor. That was a hint of the Doctor I was trying to get in. The one that was not just a two-dimensional cartoon. Gone by, hello. Yes. But you know, I wanted to get really deep inside there and show that emotion, but at the same time trying not to show the emotion of the loss of Mel and the anger that she's going anyway. You know, how dare you go? But at the same time, don't go. You know, all those various different emotions I wanted to play with.
Obviously, with a change of actress, that also heightened it a little bit, because maybe Bonnie Langford's more suited to the slightly lighter touch.
Well, Bonnie, yeah, I think Bonnie was chosen for Colin, you know, and also to compete with Colin's costume. I mean, you know,
yeah,
you know, that was the job, you know. That's and that was the chemical mix that was made for that. But when I came along, I was different. So, you know, we didn't have enough time, Bonnie and I, to develop on screen that relationship. Bonnie might have changed, because she was still dealing with the, you know, a costume that blinded you, you know, when she came on. And all that. Whereas I wasn't wearing quite such a... Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but then we didn't go on long enough to explore that, because Bonnie left, and Sophie came in, and Sophie and I just kind of worked immediately.
Right. Well, I've been told I'm running out of time, so can we open it up and ask if there's any questions for you out there?
Yeah. Sylvester, A few weeks ago, I watched a repeated episode of Rhapsody Nesbitt. I'd never seen it before, and it had this quirky, mentally adjusted brother of him. And then 10 minutes later, I realised it was you. I think that that is the measure of how good an actor is. That the audience doesn't initially recognise that actor, but the character. And I recognised the character, it's his brother, and then later, hang on, that's Mr. McCoy. And I'd just like to say that that, in respect of your skill, is what is required as an actor, and I think you've got it.
Thank you. That was my agent speaking. How nice. Thank you very much. That's very nice of you to say so. It was odd doing that Rhapsody Nesbitt because I'm a great fan of Rhapsody Nesbitt, and I can understand what they're talking about as well. I don't have to go to AAA for the subtitles. I know what it's all about. But so when they asked me to do it, and they said we want you to be Rhapsody Nesbitt's brother, I thought, oh, wonderful! I've got kind of like throw up all over the place, all that acting. Then I got there and I started to play the script, and it's very funny. You get a script and you read it, but until you actually stand up and start rehearsing it sometimes changes dramatically. And this changed into this melancholy, rather sad lunatic. Rhapsody Nesbitt's only brother escapes from a lunatic asylum, and it became a very sad character. And I kept saying to them, honest, I can't be funny. Because the actress who was playing Rhapsody's wife, she was crying at times. She was actually weeping because she thought it was so sad, this poor little fella.
I think you said earlier that sometimes contrast, like with the Curse of Fenric, wartime doctor, anti-establishment hero, then military work. Well, with Rhapsody, exactly the same. There was that Rhapsody part, but his dad was his brother. Yeah. And I thought, gosh, that's a really good actor. And then suddenly, oh, it's Mr. McCoy. Thank you.
Thank you.
You have a question up front?
I just wanted to just to ask really, as the last TV Doctor, if, as I hope they will do one day, they do bring it back to television, who would you like to see as the Doctor?
Me. Oh, I don't know. I always thought Richard E. Grant would make a really good Doctor. Richard E. Grant. From With Neil and I, the other actor in With Neil and I, because he's quite eccentric and dangerous. Who else would make a good Doctor? I can't think really.
I actually remember at a convention a few years ago, way before the telemovie, you were actually mentioning Paul McGann as a possibility to play the Doctor, or somebody that you thought might end up doing it, and then that happened.
Well, you see, it's not really, it's his real Doctor Who, you see. I'm a time traveller, I was there, I came back. I knew he was going to do it.
Yeah.
Did I? Well then, that's good, isn't it?
Do you know anything now?
I know nothing now, I can tell you. Maybe Sylvester McCoy might be doing it.
There's a script going around for a radio show for you. Yeah.
I've heard that rumour too, I wish it would arrive. I've heard the rumour there's a script going around. There was a chat somewhere about a radio show, but I don't know what happened. These people come up, funny, oh, got this idea, and then, yeah, will you do it? Yes, absolutely, and then suddenly it goes dead. Then other things happen and you forget, and then suddenly you reminded me. I wonder what did happen to that script. Anyway, it's true there was talk of doing it, but it's gone dead. Oh yes, absolutely, yes. I think now, after all these years away, from Doctor Who, if you'd have asked me that, the year after it finished, I might have said no. I don't have anything to do with it now because I've got another career and to try and carve out. But because life has been quite merry since then, and also, I feel now I'm getting near the real age, to play Doctor Who. I think I was a bit young then. Because I like the idea of him being much more middle-aged, cranky old bugger as I've become. Rather than, kind of, do you know what I mean? I think that, and there's enough superheroes around who are young and wear their underpants outside their trousers. Although I could, a cranky old man might wear his underpants outside the wrong side. Oh, yes, what do you wear today? What's that, eh? But I think, I like him more, I think the Doctor should be a maturer person.
Can I, unfortunately, bring this panel to an end? Can we thank Sylvester McCoy? He's been